is a presentation of the iRacing Esports Network.
Three, two, one.
Last year I was sitting at a desk as a sales manager, and now I'm official McLaren F1 simulated test driver.
So it's 1.4 behind.
This opportunity is huge.
That's it, 46.1. That's faster than the factory McLaren driver, and he's done 6 laps.
Let's go race.
It's Monday night, it's RaceSpotTV, where else would you be? It is Monday night, Skippys here. I was about to say RaceSpotTV a second time, which would have been very weird. Rachel White for Linus Brostrom bringing you all the action, and this time, round number 2, we're at Twin Ring Motegi in Japan. This race is gonna be interesting. We've had some changes to the car, so we look forward to seeing exactly how things will throw down. Speaking of throwing down, Bill Fraser setting the mark after his win in round number 1. He is on top of the scoreboard with a 1 minute 34.342 as qualifying is just a couple of minutes away from wrapping up. I'll tell you what, Linus, who's pumped after seeing that McLaren Shadow commercial? That looks like an entirely exciting series to check out. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty good, I think, and really exciting. So we're looking forward to seeing how that goes.
Absolutely. And the track here, 2.11 miles in length, 11 turns, and we have 16 laps tonight to get done here on the east layout of the Motegi circuit. It's not the full one, but it's the east, which I think is actually the more exciting of the two. West is essentially a wobbly oval, so we're not going to include that one, but we are doing east, which is probably one of my favourite roval tracks we get. And the unique part, of course, about Motegi, Linus, is whilst it's a roval track, the road track never touches the oval.
No, it doesn't. It just goes underneath it a couple of times. So in a way, it's actually not a roval, even though it kind of is. But still, it's a really good racetrack with a few long straights and some fast and some slow corners. It's not too narrow, and you got some good runoff. So we can expect to see some pretty gutsy movies here today, I would expect.
We certainly hoped so, and of course, if you have got some time, folks, whilst you're waiting for qualifying to wrap up, check out the description in today's video, and you can find information about CALM. That is the Campaign Against Living Miserably, and they're an award-winning charity dedicated to helping prevent male suicide, the biggest killer of men under 45 in the UK. Check them out, they do great work. Also, don't forget to check out Esteban Ballo and his track pack for gourmets. Those are the cameras we use, and they create some pretty nice angles on the racetrack, so you can look just like we do. In terms of the action on track, Paul Grillo getting a good time. He's up in 7th place at the moment. We've got Kane Halliburton, Anti-Cat, McRitchie, Dick, Hobbs, Edwards and Daniels up in your top 10. Paul Thurston, 11th place. Simon Povey back on track in 10th. That is a name we've not seen in some time. And Antonides is struggling back in 15th, Linus.
Yeah, he didn't have any practice here in this session earlier, and he's only turned a couple of qualifying laps so far, so I don't know what he's been doing, but he's definitely not been out on track, so he will be hoping to improve that by at least half a second by the end of this session. And he's got about 25 seconds to do it.
He certainly can. I'm looking forward to seeing what Simon Povey does. He's been out of this series for quite some time, and of course, there's been some changes since these guys last really raced this car. That could be a big difference for everybody. Wow, Fahim knocks Povey out of the top 10 into 11th place, knocks himself into 10th. That'll be a battle to watch. Fahim Antonides and Simon Povey dueling it out on the track. That'll be very exciting to see. Paul Thurston just behind him in 12th place. Just showing on board here with Fahim Antonides as he's coming up towards the end of his final lap. The checkered flag is out. And we'll get to see what he can put down on this one. Could it be enough to improve? Well, we'll have to find out. He hasn't got a lot of time left to do it. And as Linus mentioned, he didn't get any practice time, so rolling off cold, Linus, in this context.
Yeah, we'll have to hope for himself, for his own sake, that he's done some practice before this, and he goes really, really wide there. I wonder if that'll be an off-track, which will disqualify his lap, and it is, because he's pulling off, so 10th
no improvement
place
for him as well. We're going to go through your qualifying order now. Most of the cars, I believe, are finishing up those final laps. Povey has improved, 6th place. We won't go to the qualifying just yet. There's a couple of guys left to finish. As those guys come across the line, we will let you know. But this is set to be a very exciting race, considering some of the star-studded names we have in our top 10 tonight. You will want to keep tuned into this one as one of those names there. Paul Grillo, one of the titans of this series, getting it done. Looking a little slow, but the cars have changed a bit, Linus, so we'll have to find out how this actually handles in race conditions.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, and I don't know how much that change will actually affect these cars, so that's something we will probably find out about halfway through this race.
It certainly is. It certainly is, and Paul Grillo's lap is heading towards a finish. We'll stay with him until we find out what exactly is going to come off this run of his. Only one more corner to go. 180-degree corner now to end the lap. This could definitely produce some exciting finishes. And we'll see what Paul can pull out of the bag here. He's 8th place at the moment. Will this be an improvement for him? No, no improvement. So Paul Grillo does not advance there with his position to a grid. Bill Fraser takes pole with a 1 minute 34.169, over 3/10 ahead of Ben Daniels in 2nd place. Simon Edwards in 3rd place with Kane Halliburton in 4th and Anthony Catt in 5th place. Simon Povey in 6th with James McRitchie, Paul Grillo, Stuart Dick and Jack Hobbs in 10th place. Behind them, Fahim Antonides, Paul Thurston, Dave Martin, Anthony Jones and Clark Williams rounding out your top 15, with Nicholas Vaughan Roberts, Christopher Kelsey, Jonathan Sheen, John McGovern and Robert Plumley in 20th. Rest of those results up on your screen as lean as this track. Well, we talk about Japanese tarmac being very smooth and slick. We know there have been draft changes to a lot of the cars. This could be interesting.
It really can, and like you said, Japanese tracks on here are usually pretty slick, and looking at the temperature, it's 108 degrees Fahrenheit, which means it's going to be even more slick, so I would not be surprised to see a few cars going off in this one, especially early on before they get properly used to it in racing conditions.
Absolutely. That's something we'll keep our eyes out for, because these guys tend to race close and hard, and we'll see exactly how well they do that. But if the draft changes have been as effective as we think they might be, that could be a major contributing factor in this race. Bill Fraser already out on track ahead of Ben Daniels. Our 1 second bracket tonight, a 35.169 we're looking for. That takes us all the way down to 17th place. So that's quite the figure. Close times here at Motegi, but not that close. We've had bigger. In fact, I believe Lime Rock Park, we had our biggest ever 1 second bracket of 43 cars, which of course is 7 corner Lime Rock Park. It's kind of expected, but it's always interesting to see just how close the drivers are on the racetrack in terms of that 1 second bracket. Engines rev up on the start line as we get ready to go for 16 laps of racing here at Twin Ring Motegi. The green flag flies, and we're away. Early move there by Edwards, slotting in behind Ben Daniels, although he might go up alongside him to try and get a run here for second place in the early going. He'll be alongside already. Big jump by Edwards. In fact, he could take it 3 wide here with Fraser. Not quite, but he goes around the outside there of Daniels. Holds the place, which should give him the inside line coming up to the near the oval pit straights there. Doesn't take the place, stays in third for now. Simon Povey will be one to watch. He's back there in a 45 car. 6 cars just gone off. That's Christopher Kelsey. He's had a bit of a contact with somebody else. We'll take a quick look at what happened there, and that was a bit of a contact with the driver behind him, the 34 machine. That was Daniel Tufts, who had a great start, but, well, just got into the back of a sliding car who had just turned across the racetrack. He rejoins. Unfortunately, Kelsey does not for the time being. Up at the front end, Bill Fraser doing his best to make a break early on, and the draft does seem to be slightly different early, and it's because Bill Fraser's leaping off into the sunset already, pulling that gap. Daniels, Edwards close together. Halliburton and co have dropped back a bit. In fact, Halliburton's dropped back a lot. Povey's already heading up to 4th place here. He's alongside Anthony Catt, and behind them is McRitchie coming up close.
It is. It's been a really good start up front. Had a few small contacts at the back, but other than that, it was pretty clean actually. And like you said, we see Fraser pulling away here. We'll have to see what the draft will do to him coming down the straight. But he's built it up so much through the twisty bits. It's already up to over a second. So I think he's going to be setting off and getting a win just like last week by the looks of it, as we see Edwards moving to the inside of Ben Daniels, and he's going to clear him even before he turns into the corner. So new second place.
Oh,
as we got contact behind.
McRitchie and Povey. We'll have a quick look back at that one because that was an interesting move. McRitchie goes up inside of Povey, hits Povey, which was entirely McRitchie's fault. He goes off and loses more track position. Povey manages to continue, but he's normally a fairly, shall we say, effervescent driver, as Grillo ends up getting put sideways in the aftermath of that incident. Povey's normally pretty effervescent, Linus, so he might express his interest to McRitchie there for the Stuka dive bomb that happened into the first corner.
He might do, but as long as he doesn't have any damage, I'm pretty confident he will start his move back up through the field here. And
speaking of which, Edwards and Daniels fighting out for second as they allow Fraser to get even further away. It seems like we have a lot of packs of cars, so a lot of cars stay close together. Look back here, Nicholas Vaughan Roberts in the 252 in the middle of a massive dogfight. He's lost his nose cone here. He's around likes of McGovern, Halliburton, Jones and Thurston there in this pack. A lot of cars staying very close together, so it seems like a lot of these drivers either have similar speed or they have got the draft. It could just be that Bill Fraser is on a different planet this season.
Yeah, I think it is. He's just really fast through the corners, and he's pulling away even more, and we'll see now this time by what the gap has gone up to. It's gone up to 1.6, and that's not even going to be within draft range for Simon Edwards. So Fraser doing what he does best, driving away from everybody and looking to make it 2 for 2 this season. And Fahim has already got up to P number 5.
He has indeed. Fernandez up to 5th place, second last time out, but it was a close second, of course. Just here though, still working his way through the traffic. Has got the likes of Dick behind him. Povey is recovering, but not as quickly as we might expect. Dave Martin there, 13th up to 8th place. That's a big one for him. For him, definitely our biggest mover in the top 10 at the moment. Clark Williams, 15th to 9th. That's big movement for him. Plumley, 20th to 13th, sorry. He's duking it out now with Darrell Taylor in a great little fight back here in 13th place. Have a good look at this one, because those guys, they're pushing pretty hard. Just behind Plumley, we've got Cameron and Stack getting involved in this one as Plumley looks for an opportunity. I just said an opening and an opportunity at the same time. That's an opportunity. I created a new word as Robert Plumley here, trying to find a way around Darrell Taylor. Just not able really in these switchback corners, and he needs to find momentum he needs to get alongside.
If you get on the inside in one corner, you're going to be on the outside in the next one, so it's really hard to make a pass around here in these fast-flowing corners. So you really got to get a very good exit or have the car in front of you make a mistake. Otherwise, you got to be really confident in your car and make sure that it sticks all the way around the outside in order to make a pass. As we see him get a really good exit here, so it's going to be side by side coming down the front straight away as he actually uses a little bit of draft there.
He does. Gets Robert Plumley alongside Daryl Taylor. The 147 machine's going to have the inside line for the first corner. That diving right-hander should be an easy pass for him, but Taylor holds it on the outside. That's what he wanted, but at the same time, it's a double right there. So he loses that spot now. Almost loses another one to McGovern. Oh, as McGovern and Stack get contact, but they both keep going in the same direction, so that's a bonus. Fahim is moving forwards as Povey. Oh, contact there with Stuart Dick. Actually, no, it's Dave Martin, I apologise. So it looks like Povey might be nursing an injury here from that contact early on with the car there of McRitchie. Because he just seems a bit slower, Linus. That or he's not used to the car again. But just hemorrhaging positions here after a great qualifying. Anthony Des is catching up to the back here of Anthony Cat for 4th place. Ahead of him, he can see the dueling cars there of Edwards and Daniels. Those two still fighting each other for position, as Edwards in 2nd place currently. The gap there to Bill Fraser, 1.8, so he's not run off completely, but, well, he's not really in the same race at the moment.
Yeah, they're battling it out really hard here. I don't think Daniels has made a move on Edwardstone in the last lap here, which might be why they're keeping up with Fraser as well as they are, but one move into one corner is going to cost these guys at least a couple of tenths, so we'll have to see how this plays out. As he stays behind him down into turn 1 again. Actually, it looks a bit on the outside, but they're going to stay in line and try to keep up to Fraser, who actually just pulled it out to 2.5 seconds.
That is a huge, huge gap there that Bill Fraser has. He is absolutely on fire from that first round at the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca over in California. While here in Japan, it's looking like a similar story. Is Bill Fraser leaving his mark on this season? Seems like he is so far. Anthony Des wanting to try and challenge that this time by. He is pushing hard, makes a move there on Anthony Cat. The 8 machine of Anthony Des goes round him. Was given that position by the first corner as down they'll dive. Getting closer now to Cat and Daniel is going to replay there on the screen for you that pass. A strategic move there by Cat, not really holding up the faster car, hoping to try and stay with Edwards and Daniels, hoping that he can benefit from their fighting. And the obvious fight there will happen if Antonides catches up to them. And that's one thing I've often said, Linus, is that if you have a fast car coming behind you and you've got cars close ahead of you fighting, let them through. That car that's coming past you will probably mess those two up and end up bringing them back to you. So it's a chance to pass 2 by giving up 1.
It really is, and also letting someone go saves you a lot of time compared to battling them for 2 or 3 laps, which also runs the risk of you getting taken out. So if it's this early in the race and you know he's a lot faster, just let him go and try to keep up with him. Maybe take his lines and follow him up to that couple of cars and hope that you can follow him right through there and in the end make up 1 position. So that's a smart move by him, as we see again Daniels looking a little bit to the outside of Edwards going into turn 1, but no moves being made.
None yet at the moment, but he's going to keep himself in position to do so when he finds an opportunity. Bill Fraser, 2.4 second gap for him as Povey managed to finally get past Dave Martin, leaving him ahead of that train, including himself, Martin, Williams and Paul Thurston, who's sitting in a top 10 position right now, ahead of Robert Plumley, who's up to 11th place, ahead of Daryl Taylor there. Plumley in 11th place. He's about 4 seconds back from Thurston. So Thurston having a great race today. A top 10 potential position for him, which will be a big one. He's never really talked about Motegi. He has very particular taste when it comes to tracks, Linus. And he's made it very clear that some tracks he gets on with, Summit Point being one of them. Some he doesn't, like Laguna Seca. But this track does seem to suit El Capitan.
It does, and he's had a pretty solid race so far. Made up 2 positions, actually got a 3-second gap down to 11th at the moment, and just sitting behind Clark Williams here, Dave Martin, waiting for them to make mistakes so he can make up a position or 2, but for now it looks like he's sitting pretty comfortably in the position he's in.
Certainly is, as on board here with Ben Daniels chasing Simon Edwards as the cars behind him get awfully close to the rearview mirror. I don't know if we can turn that camera around on the roll hoop there of Daniels, but you'll see a Team Thrustmaster Bavano car closing in the mirrors, and you'll see Anthony Cat just behind him. So the battle for 2nd, 3rd, 4th will definitely get a lot, or 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th I should say, will definitely get a lot closer in the moment. These guys all over each other as They head on to lap number 7 here. Nearly halfway through this race in one more lap, Linus, and this one's not really spread out as much as we thought. Fraser, apart from making that big jump at the start, everybody else is kind of close. So Bill Fraser is on a different planet this time as Edwards goes defensive there into what is the 4th or 5th corner here on the racetrack. And it's just allowing the group behind him to catch up. Antonides right in the back of them as they go into a slightly faster section here. Opportunity to make a pass. Can Antonides go up the inside? He's going to look. Daniel sees him, gives him space. Antonides now on the outside, which was a good move there by Ben Daniels. Puts him on the outside for the follow back corner. Can Antonides hold it on the inside? He does. That gives him a chance for a far tighter left-hand corner where he's now the car on the inside. Takes the place for him. Antonides up into the 3rd position on the racetrack. Daniels crossover though. He isn't willing to give this one up just yet. As they come to the final corner, Antonides secures that spot. Daniels at this point concedes. But what a battle we've had there, and we're not even halfway through. This is what Monday Night Skippys is about, Linus.
Yeah, that was a brave move by Fahim and holding it around the outside, not going off the track as well. That's a really good job right there. And Edwards is loving seeing this in the mirror, but he couldn't really pull that gap up as much as he would have wanted when they went side by side. So Fahim is going to be right on his rear end within a few corners here, and I think Edwards is going to have to watch out for Fahim within at least a couple of laps.
Absolutely, and I'd be very afraid if I was Simon Edwards. The speed at which Antonides is caught up is a warning sign for what's about to happen here as we start onto lap 8. By the end of this one, we'll be halfway through your race tonight, and well, action has hotted up. Bill Fraser, 3.1 second lead right now. He is off into the sunset. Everybody else pretty close together. On board here with Tony Stack, who is there in the middle of a 3-car sandwich with John McGovern and Anthony Jones as they're following in the footsteps of our lead cars. Heading up to this halfway point of the lap as we get to this mirror corner almost to our first corner, Linus. Heading under this bridge, it's almost identical to the first corner that I've actually misplaced where I am in my brain on the racetrack because it looks so similar. It's a descending right-hander under a bridge. So these guys still trying to keep themselves together, and it looks as though Stack is trying to close in, but might be under attack here from Jones.
Yeah, he's going to have to watch out behind him, but he gets a little bit of a gap going into that corner, and he might be able to get that 14th position right back coming towards the end of this lap. It's a pretty good battle here between Jones, Stack and Hendy, but it doesn't look like anyone's ready to make a move here.
Certainly not yet, as we're looking on board here with Anthony Catt. He is up there in 5th place behind Daniels. He's playing the Clark Williams role this time by sitting there in 5th place, waiting for someone to make a mistake so he can make an opportunity from it. As it looks as though Antonides catching up on Edwards now might have a chance to take the battle for 2nd place, as Bill Fraser, well, he's just managed to get himself through some traffic here. Lapped cars, in fact, oh, whoa! Bill Fraser's pulling off. I'm not sure what's happening to him, but Bill Fraser's just dumped 3 seconds. He's trying to come back up to speed. I think he got a slowdown there. The worst possible location, going on to a straight there. Oh, he does. He gets a slowdown. Oh my god, your race leader unnecessarily gives himself a slowdown and opens this thing up wildly. Oh my god. Antonides pushing for 2nd place here with Edwards, as now there's a race to play for. As Round pushes Edwards wide, Daniels tries to take the opportunity to slide his car in there, and he does into 2nd place, and now with a very sure sight to the win. As I'm going to replay up for you here as you see exactly what has happened, Linus.
Yeah, he just sticks his car up next to him. He sees the leader getting much closer, and he says, I'm not having this. He just... Actually, that's Edwards making a move on Fraser, then losing out. Fahim just comes up next to him and takes him up the inside. Edwards doesn't really put up a fight by the looks of it, so he actually does,
anyway,
when he backs out.
We'll move up and onwards here as Bill Fraser is now well and truly in the Lions' grasp. A slowdown penalty just ate 3 seconds of his lead. Now he is suddenly back in with our pack here. Antonides, Edwards, Daniels, Catt, all suddenly within pouncing distance here of the lion that just became the mouse. Bill Fraser is in a very tricky spot, and he's going to have to drive like the wind here if he wants a chance to try and take this back. And it seems like he's already pulled that gap again, Linus, so he could just be that fast.
It has, and they've got 2 lapped cars in front of him as well. He might have been using them to pull away a little bit on the straightaway, but as fast as he's been in this race, if he can just keep his head cool, he might be able to pull the gap up again. But now we've got Fahim Antonidis in second, so it'll be up to him to show us if he can go just as fast as Fraser or not. But costly mistake from Fraser, and I don't know if that's gonna hurt him or not. So far it doesn't look too bad.
The question here, of course, is that has Bill Fraser been that much on the edge as he gets past one of the lap cars? He just dives out of the way. Has he been that on edge that this off-track was caused by him driving on the bleeding edge of his racecraft? That he just made a mistake? He was pushing so hard to make the gap, and that's why he was so fast? Or was it just a lapse in concentration, or the draft of the cars in front of him that pulled him that far across the curb? We'll never know. But as Bill Fraser does here have the lap car to draft off as they head down towards the first corner. Antonidis not closing in quite as much. The lap car's going to stay well out of the way of your leaders. And now we're on board here with Martin back in the 9th spot. He's alongside Paul Thurston. Behind them it's Clark Williams into that first corner as well. Martin makes the move. Nicely done. Gets past Paul Thurston into 8th place. Back up guys, looking at the front leader, sorry.
Yeah, these guys have been battling it out for quite a few laps, swapping positions back and forth, and Martin currently in the front position, but that's going to change a lot more in this race.
Certainly is, but looking at the front, things are looking a little closer. Now there aren't lap cars for Fraser to draft off. That gap between himself and Antonidis does seem to have gotten a little closer. Could he have just brought himself back into that attack range where things could change dramatically in this one on lap 11 here? So we are going to have 5 to go in this race, including this one. Are we looking at a potential change here now he hasn't got any assistance?
Well, we're about to find out, but Fahim has not been in this position before in this race, and he's worked his way up through the field and was only 3.5 to 4 seconds behind Fraser when that happened. So he's pretty much been as fast as Fraser in traffic, so I really think Fahim can put a fight to him as he will be in the draft here coming down the straightaway, and we might see a move for the leader in a lap or 2.
We certainly might, of course. Fahim's last lap, actually yeah, last lap, Fahim's lap was faster than Fraser's qualifying lap, which we would kind of expect, but at the same time he was 3/10 faster than Fraser's last lap, so he is definitely winding that gap in there. The draft at the start finish straight will have kind of masked that time a little bit because he was closing in through the draft. So the draft model does seem to still exist in the Skippy. I think Bill Fraser was just that fastliness. But here, Antonidis charging, absolutely charging here towards the back of Bill Fraser. We could be looking at the move here. Bill goes wide to take the position. Antonidis, will he dive it in? He does, side by side here. Possible contact, but not quite. Stays at the inside there. Antonidis struggling to hold that position. Bill Fraser holds the outside. If he can hold it around this corner, he has a chance to hold it for the next one. He does. Bill Fraser will have the inside line now, coming up towards 7.
Oh,
sliding sideways back to Antonidis on the inside. This one is super tense now, and this brings Simon Edwards into the mix here. Fraser has the corner again. These two swapping corners as once again they hold it even. My gosh, Antonidis just holding the overlap there, which gives him the chance for that final corner. This should be a big advantage to him unless Bill Fraser holds it around the outside, but both of them are going to be compromised when it comes to exit speed compared to the likes of Simon Edwards as he closes the gap on Bill Fraser, gets ahead of him, but Fraser, bigger speed out the corner, up alongside him now as they run across the start-finish line. First change of position in the entire race for the lead, but it won't last as Bill Fraser going to be back ahead by the time they get to turn 1.
He is, and that was over half a lap side by side constantly, and Edwards is just looking for a gap everywhere. As Fahim comes up next to him again, he's going to have to back out, and here comes Edwards again trying to make a move for second, but going to slot in behind Fahim. And we see Ben Daniels and Anthony Katz now as well, right back up in the rear of Edwards. So this is suddenly turned back into a 5-car battle, and if they keep going like this, we've got Povey and Stuart Dick looking to close up as well and make it a 7-car battle.
That is something Simon Povey has definitely closed himself back in here. He has managed to recover his positions he lost. He's back where he qualified in 6th place after that hit from McRitchie. Keeping himself going though, Simon Povey not really got any car trouble right now. He's coming forwards, looking quickly here at Clark Williams. He's in a bit of a battle with Dave Martin and Paul Thurston. Dropped a spot there, so not what he wanted to have happen. Thurston back in 10th place. He's still 2 up from where he qualified. Williams up 6 from where he qualified, and Martin is up 5. So these guys are all movers. Stuart Dick up 2. A lot of movement in the top 10. Edwards, where he qualified in 3rd. Antonides, though, back in 2nd place. I say back, I mean he qualified 11th place, Linus. He's been one of our biggest movers in the top 10. Currently up 10 positions. But Bill Fraser just got back ahead after that lap-long battle. And it looks like Antonides is going to have to try and find something special as he goes for a crossover and a massive out-braking move.
Ooh, wreck behind.
And a big wreck behind them as he went for the super extreme late braking maneuver from Initial D whilst we're here in Japan to try and take that move there off Bill Fraser. We show the replay of what happened though behind them in the confusion as the big slowdown there from Antonides. Edwards gets slowed down, gets turned by Ben Daniels, wraps the two of them off the track, and Anthony Katz says, I'll take that cream, and moves himself up to the 3rd spot, although quite a gap there behind your lead too. A couple of those guys might blame Antonides for, well, out-stookering McRitchie from earlier in this race.
Well, it's...
Oh, he's making a move though. Antonides on Fraser.
He is, but Fraser is going to clear him. He's going to make the crossover though. Try and get some kind of an overlap here in these left-right corners. And here he goes again. Going to get the inside, coming into the hairpin.
Did he hold the outside? Oh, I don't think he can. It's close though. He gets ahead of him. Antonides finally gets ahead. Will Bill Fraser make a big dive move here? They're only going to have 2 laps left after they come around his final corner. Time is running out here, and if Antonides can start to make some distance, he has a chance to take this race lead and the race win away from Bill Fraser. This is getting incredibly exciting here at Twin Ring Motegi. Down into the 1st corner again. Well, we see Bill Fraser stomp on that brake pedal like Antonides just did. Is this his opportunity? He looks for the inside. He pulls back wide. He's not going to risk it this time. The speed loss, though, when Antonides made that massive dive, I think that scared Fraser more than anything, Linus. It wasn't the fact that he made it past, but I think he rattled him a bit.
I think it did, and well, now Fahim is in front. He's got 1.5 laps to go. Now Bill Fraser to make a move, and potentially he's going to wait for that same turn 1 again on the last lap, but he seeing Fahim's speed now when he's caught up to Fraser, it is the risk that Fahim's going to pull away, so he's going to have Fraser's going to have to make a move as soon as he can. And while all this has been going on, Povey has recovered back up to 4th with that incident.
Certainly has, yeah. Simon Povey up to 4th place, so he's actually taken advantage of the contact there between Edwards and Daniels. Fraser. You're absolutely correct. Bill Fraser making a move here on Antonides up the inside. Antonides has the next corner, though, to his advantage. Ooh, no. He's off the track, though. Bill Fraser might have a faster line around the outside here. They stay side by side as he just cuts him off. A bit of a tyre touch there for Antonides as he just shoulders his way past the Scotsman. This is all-out war on the racetrack here at Twin Ring Motegi. These guys are pulling no punches here. This is some old-school Ward versus Povey level racing we're seeing, Linus.
It really is, and he's going to go all the way into the pit wall here for him to block Fraser coming down into turn number 1. He's going to use the draft and move to the outside, and if he can outbrake Fahim down here, he might be able to pull into the lead as they touch again, coming down into the braking point, and Fraser is going to clear him. He's not going to be able to turn in though, because Fahim has the inside. He's going to sneak it up a little bit, side by side underneath the bridge as they come out. They're still side by side. Fahim got the inside. Fraser's got it for the next one. Oh wow.
Oh, come on, boys. This isn't the quite terrible, yet still strangely watchable IndyCar movie driven. You have to give each other a bit more room. This much tyre touching is a little bit extreme. This isn't even a Michael Bay racing movie. As Bill Fraser goes to the outside here, tries to find an opportunity for a crossover on Antonides. Can he get his nose in there? I don't think he can. Antonides holds the line. There's a lap car ahead of them. Will that be a factor? We just don't know. Bill Fraser dives for it. Up the inside he will go. On the outside, though, this gives the advantage here to Antonides, unless he can use the slightly more advanced position to take it around the outside. He will hold that outside line, which is what he needed inside now for Bill Fraser. Antonides loses the position, slides back inside there. on the rear of Bill Fraser. Final corner. What has Anthony Des got? He's going to have to throw everything at this final corner. This is going to have to be the dive bomb of all dive bombs if he wants an opportunity here. It's not a long run to the start-finish line. Can he do it? Anthony Des, final corner. Going to stay in line. Think he's given up at this point, but he holds it in behind Bill Fraser. Can he get a bit of run off the corner? No, he cannot. Bill Fraser, what a gutsy drive from the young Scotsman after a mistake nearly cost him his race. He will come back with a victory here at Twin Ring Motegi. Anthony Des will have to settle for second place, and settle that is after what was a stonking fight there. Anthony Cat takes third. Simon Povey on his return to the series with a fourth place. Stuart Dick in fifth place. Wow, Linus, that was top-notch racing.
It really was, and wow. That was a bit more exciting than I thought it would be after that first lap, and thankfully that slowdown made it exciting all the way through the field. We still got a few battles going on. I don't know if there's any close ones, but it's certainly never disappoints us. Even if you get a leader by almost 5 seconds, there's always things that can happen to close it back up, and a few incidents here and there, but that was great.
Well, we say Monday at Skippys never disappoints. That is absolutely true in this context. What a phenomenal event here from Twin Ring Motegi. And now to our results. Coming home with the win is Bill Fraser there with a fantastic win just in the final corners. Fema tonight is in second and Anthony Cat in third. Simon Povey and Stuart Dick round out your top 5 with Ben Daniels, Paul Thurston, Clark Williams, Dave Martin and Robert Plumley in 10th place. Starting 20th, big move for him. Darrell Taylor, Anthony Jones, John McGovern, Adrian Hendy and Tony Stack in the 15th. Neil Jackson, Nick Phillips, Simon Edwards recovering to 18th. Tim Adcock and Dave Cameron in 20th. The rest of those results up on your screen, as hopefully we're going to get a chance to chat very soon to some of those drivers. I think Anthony Des might need a bit of a calm down after that one, because that was a phenomenal run from him, and we are looking forward to hearing from those guys in just a couple of seconds time. Linus, that was... we were afraid the draft was going to have been ruined in the latest update, and this was going to be a quiet race with nothing exciting happening, but we were proved totally wrong.
Oh yeah, we certainly was, and battles all over the track. Unfortunately, we can't cover all of them, but we had some really good battles at the front, and Fraser pulling out a massive lead, making one mistake, and all of a sudden we got a massive race. Thankfully for him, it didn't cost him the win, and thankfully it made it a lot more exciting for all of us. So I'm really looking forward to the rest of this series and going back to this track as soon as possible, hopefully, because this was pretty amazing actually.
Absolutely was, and well, we've got the man who finished second place here today. We had to say that last week as well for him, but this time, that was so much closer. Tell me about that race, if you could actually breathe.
Well, got my breath now. Oh God, it was just... I thought there was a 2-lap lone qualifier today, which if it was, it wouldn't have been a problem. I'm sure it would have been in the top 3 in the qualifying, but as it happened, it was a 20-minute open practice session, and I'd volunteered to pick up my uncle from the airport and made it just in time for what I thought was going to be a 2-lap qualifier. And then when I joined the qualifying session, I could see that there's only 5 laps left, and so the best I could do was 11th. And I think that was probably the most hardest fought race I've ever done, because one thing is trying to make your way back from the back of the field to the front. But to do it from the mid-pack to the front was very hard, and there was a lot of respectful driving out there, and a lot of sweating on my part, and I'm kicking myself because I made a silly mistake. It would have been nice if I hadn't done that to have gotten a win, and it was just the tiniest of mistake, and you can't make mistakes when you're racing against the likes of Bill. But hey, you know, if I'm from 11th to 2nd, I'll take that. It was a good result.
Well, what did you think though when Bill made that mistake with a slowdown penalty halfway through the race? Did you think, I mean, your race was over before that, it was second place or nothing, and then suddenly the leader's right with you and you have a stonking battle for the next 8 laps?
Well, you know, I thought that I could still catch him without that mistake, but whether I would catch him with a lap or 2 left or just short of, you know, 1 lap for being right next to him, I wouldn't have known. I wasn't sure about that bit, but when he got the slowdown, I thought, you know, I started rubbing my hands. I thought, you know what, this is the stars are aligned for this one. This has got my name written all over it, and that's why I'm kicking myself for that tiny mistake that allowed him to get through. Because, you know, I passed him a couple of times, he passed me a couple of times, and I had it figured out to know where to make the move so that, you know, I would be the last man going up, the first man going over the line. But I just got it slightly wrong, and that was enough to throw it away. So almost, but not quite.
Certainly was. Well, fantastic result regardless. Second place tonight for him. Plenty of chances left.
Yes, indeed. Look forward to it next week.
We'll see you then. Thanks for joining us. Paul Thurston joining us as well. We've said that you like some tracks and some tracks don't like you, but this one seemed to go pretty well for you, Paul. 7th place.
Yeah, I like it here. I actually beat Simon Hulbert to pole in the Radical here once, which is one of my more memorable laps. But I just seem to get the hang of this. Plus I practiced a bit. I'm getting the hang of the new pedals, and that makes a massive difference here because they're big braking zones. Down into turn 1, you've really got to, you get to the 100-metre board and you just slam the anchors on. And then you've got a trail brake all the way into the corner. I've got to thank Fahim actually. He's gone now, but I would have thanked him when he was here. We were in a practice session on Saturday, and he just gave me a couple of tips, ways to take a couple of corners better, and that actually took about a quarter of a second off my times at the time. But that was absolutely superb racing. I really enjoyed that. I was in the race-long battle really with Clark and Dave. There was a big crash in the S's right in front of me, but they just separated. It was like I was like Moses crossing the whatever it was. You know, they just parted, and I just cruised my way through. I think I hit something. It registered as a hit, but I didn't. There was no damage. And after that, it was just tooth and nail with Dave and Clark. The problem was that meant that Rob Plumley and Darrell and the guys behind were all catching us, which, you know, they were like sort of 4 seconds back, and then they were 3.5, then they were 3, and they were 2, and I was looking in the mirrors and thinking, I need to be at the front of this little group. So I worked my way past I think Dave was second at that time, and then managed to get Clark all the other way round. And then luckily, you know, I've got Dave on the last lap basically down the main straight, and just essentially made myself very wide. And then the others did catch up, and then Rob nicked a place off Dale. I love racing like that. It's absolutely superb. While I'm here, can I just say massive congratulations to the UK&I Intimidator team, who won the Intimidator for I think the 4th year running. We're just awesome at that. It's all down to the guys. There's only 3 of them.
Well, there you go. UK&I Intimidator race. 3 of them. Not the usual UK&I turnout, but hopefully things will be different this time round.
For the main event, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, there you go. And we're going to bring in Will Vincent now for a quick final word.
You know what, Rachel? That was one of the best Monday Night Skippy races I've seen in a long, long time. And the only bad thing is that you're going to have to deal with me for the next 2 weeks of this series.
Well, there we go. That will make things even better.
Yeah. Over to you.
Over to me. Well, thank you very much for joining me. And, well, folks, we're going to wrap things up. We'll be back, of course, same time next week for Monday Night Skippies. And you get extra added Will Vincent next week. Bonus. So we'll catch you then. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.